You want it? We have it. The hottest mortgage and real estate strategy broadcast in the nation. A Smarter Way Home with your host, Danielle Boote and Victor Bals. 50 years combined experience, ranked in the top 1% in the nation for home loan originations 2020. Promise to expand your knowledge, utilizing creative mortgage financing and home buying strategies. Build a bridge for a better quality of life. Get your brain cells firing for a smarter way home. And welcome to another episode of A Smarter Way Home. Modern mortgage strategies along with home buying strategies for real estate professionals and consumers alike. I am Victor Bals. I am your host, and today I have my co-host, the wonderful, the loan officer extraordinaire, Mrs. Danielle Boote.
Good morning, Victor. How are you?
I am pretty good. We were just talking about shopping before the show, so I got to finish up some shopping today. But anyway, Danielle, we have a very special guest on today, and I'd like you to introduce him and let us know what we're going to talk about here
Absolutely.
today.
So it is our pleasure today to have on our show Reggie Osborne. He is a loan officer with our branch in Brighton. I have had the pleasure of knowing Reggie for over 10 years now. Mm-hmm. We met in a professional capacity through his other business ventures and 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Almost 11.
Yeah, probably.
Almost 11. Reggie has a long history of business management, sales, marketing, things of that nature. And a couple years ago, he called me and said, hey, I'm thinking about making a career change. Mm-hmm. And if I recall, you were kind of contemplating real estate or mortgage lending.
Yep.
And mortgage lending is not the easiest career to get started in. It takes the right person with the right aptitude. And we had a couple of really long, good conversations. And you said, okay, let me think about it. And then you got back to me and said, okay, I want to come into the mortgage industry. So, Reggie is a bit of a go-getter. He went out and got his license all on his own, passed first time around, and joined us about 2 years ago. So he brings a great deal of energy to our branch. He has a great aptitude for absorbing all the intricate things about doing mortgages. So, it's exciting to see where you've come, and it's exciting to see where you're going to continue to grow. But we love having Reggie at our office.
So welcome, Reggie Osborne.
Well, I appreciate it. This is a great platform, Vic, obviously, that you and Danielle have put together, and I'm super appreciative of just having the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with you guys.
Well, it's kind of funny because, at our branch, when we look at our experience here, I think our average experience in our office is 18 and a half or 19 years amongst all us loan officers. And when Danielle brought you on, we've never brought on anybody with less than 10 years experience. So you're the first one, and obviously because you're going to be an up and shining star, and we see all that potential in you. So I'm just glad to have you on the show, and I want to get to know you a little bit better here, because Danielle, you mentioned a couple things about that you known him 10 years ago. I didn't know that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that you were in other business ventures. I didn't know that either. Yeah. So we're going to discuss that. So let me ask you this.
Well, buckle in. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah. So first of all, now how long have you been in the mortgage industry?
So I got licensed literally right before the pandemic.
Close.
Right before the pandemic. January of 2020. So just under 2 years right now.
Okay, so what did you do prior to mortgages?
Yeah, so I graduated college. I was a chemistry major, and I was looking to get into pharmacy school, and went through all that testing. Actually got put on a wait list at a couple different schools, and in the meantime, just got into sales and kind of let pharmacy kind of go by the wayside a little bit.
What did you sell?
A variety of different things, from office technology to, the water cooler that we have at the office now. I've helped start a couple different businesses, one in the healthcare industry or the health and wellness industry, and then obviously the other one with the water.
So what made you transition into mortgages? I mean, there's a hell of a lot of difference between selling water coolers and going into mortgages.
That's That's a great question because the mortgage industry and the real estate industry in general has always been on my mind. Any long-term wealth building talks you hear, they always talk about real estate. Real estate is a great way. They're not building anymore. So, it's a great way to build wealth. And I've always been intrigued by that industry, but I've never had the confidence to say, okay, I want to be a real estate agent, or I want to get into the mortgage industry, because I've had a plethora of great excuses that work at that time. There was a life change happening, and I was like, now is my time. Do I go into real estate? Do I go into mortgages? And that's what Danielle was alluding to. I talked to, a handful of real estate agents that I know. Give me the pros and cons. I talked to, 3 or 4 lenders that I know. And I said, give me the pros and cons. What do you think? Where do you think I would fit best? And in the end, the mortgage industry, in my opinion, was the best fit for me and my family at that time.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love it. This is the hardest job that I've ever had. I've worked more at this job than any other job I ever have, but I absolutely love it. Right?
What do you love about the mortgage industry?
Wow, that's we could spend a lot of time on that, but mostly what I love about it is it's call it cheesy, call it nostalgia, whatever you want to call it, but truly I believe that home ownership is still the American dream. Mm-hmm. And for so many people in today's world, they don't have a path to get there, right? They don't know how to get there. They just everybody's, in today's society, it's a lease society, it's a rental society, and there's nothing wrong with that. But people want to start building wealth. People want to build up those assets. And in my opinion, real estate is one of the best vehicles to do that. And if I can help, this newlywed couple get into their first house, start building a family together, if I can help them do that, and then as they grow through their careers, maybe they want to buy a house up north or a lake house or a house in Florida or wherever they want to go, if I can help be a part of that program and get them from where they are right now and help show them the different paths. And Vic, I'll be honest, this is a play that I've stole from your playbook, right?
So.
Is showing people those different options, right? We're not about just getting you into a mortgage, getting you to the closing table, and let's conveyor belt people and let's move on to the next person. You're going to say, what are your long-term goals? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Does it make sense to go with this mortgage or that mortgage? Right. But what are the overall arching goals?
Well, it's an overall financial plan. It's
100%.
Not just the mortgage. It's the financial plan that is built around purchasing the asset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I read an article recently about higher net worth clients and real estate. And it was discussing that, for instance, people that invest in real estate beyond just their primary residence are typically not as worried about leveraging it or getting that mortgage, right? Because they understand that the house is an asset. The real estate's an asset. It's not just going to, you got to be able to afford the payment, of course, but it's overall, it's a wealth building strategy.
Yeah, and we use, how we preach it is we use a mortgage as a vehicle for a quality of life and lifestyle, and a vehicle to create wealth. And
Well, do you remember? Do you remember buying your first house?
Yeah.
And do you remember turning the key in the door, bringing the kids home?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're building here. It's your job should not be your life.
Mm-hmm.
Your family should be your life.
100%.
And building you need the job to support the family, right? What you're building is that family. I mean, we're days away from Christmas here. I'm at the stage in life where I've got 2 kids out of the house, two college kids in the house. Life is changing quickly. And all I want for Christmas is just everybody to come home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't, Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't care about the presents. And of course we have presents and even the decor. It's like, okay, yeah, put up the tree, decorate it. That's a lot of work. But you go, that's all I'm looking forward to is just getting everybody home together for a day.
Yeah.
And where does that happen? In your home, in the house.
And it's funny because you mentioned, do you remember when you bought your first house? And 100%, it was 2009. I wasn't in the industry. You guys were. It was craziness, right?
Yeah.
All the foreclosures, everything going on. I remember, and unfortunately, we didn't use you at the time, Danielle, because I don't know if we knew you at that time, but we used another loan officer. We walked into over 50 houses. Almost all of them were foreclosures, put offers on, I think 7 or 8. And the 8th one was finally the one that we got. And I remember the roller coaster of emotions. And that is something that I've been able to use. And Vic, you're right. I don't have the decades of experience to pull on. Right. And that's okay because I have other life experiences that I can talk to my clients with and say, I know exactly what you're going through. Hey, listen, I've been there. Not to
come up with a plan and say, here's your situation.
100%.
Here's where you need to be. How are we going to get you from A to Z?
And I can empathize with them and I can understand what it's like to lose a house as far as like not getting an offer accepted and whatnot. So it's not easy.
Yeah, well, that's how you connect with people. You have those life experiences there. So what are your greatest strengths do you see as a loan officer, and what makes you different than in another loan officer?
Yeah, so I think, well, it's a number of different things, but I think what I just mentioned is probably one of the biggest keys, is being able to pull from life experiences and then relate that to the client and realize that this isn't a conveyor belt mentality that we've got going on here, that these are real people that are putting out real money. I mean, we throw numbers around a lot of times. You'll need $15,000 at closing. You'll need $25,000 at closing. You need $8,000 at closing. You need to pay for this $500 appraisal. That's real money.
Yeah.
And it's, you're going to have a $300,000 mortgage, or your payment's going to be $2,500 or whatever it is. That is real money. And sometimes I think a lot of loan officers or people in our industry, they don't realize that. They're just throwing numbers out because we see numbers all day long.
Or they get nothing. I got a call from an agent yesterday who had a buyer that wanted to write an offer with an out-of-state pre-approval for 100% financing on a conventional loan. So this agent literally called me and said, is there 100% financing on a conventional loan? I said, no. And she goes, well, here's the lender. And I asked her, I said, well, is your client a veteran? And she goes, yeah, he's a veteran. He's active duty. I said, well, I knew by the name of the lender he was going through. I said, no, he probably needs a VA loan. She goes, well, I really can't use this pre-approval. I said, well, did the client ask the loan officer, what program they're on? And she goes, he's never talked to the loan officer. We can't get a hold of him. And it's always done online. So you have a borrower shopping for a home that has no idea what loan program they're approved for, has no idea what the payment's going to be on this house or what the closing costs are going to be. And this realtor is driving this person around town and ready to write an offer.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what yes, it's about the numbers, but it's all about also the people that don't know anything about the numbers. How can they be an informed buyer and actually get an offer accepted if they don't know?
They're not informed.
No.
And all of a sudden they're in for a big bucket of surprises there.
Right.
And that loan officer, it's going to be a one and done with.
If they ever get done. Those are the buyers that are not getting offers accepted in this market because they're afraid of increasing the sales price $5,000. But they don't realize how little that really is over the big picture.
100%.
So it's about the numbers, but it's about explaining it to the consumer that doesn't understand the numbers, but we can empower people.
You're absolutely right, because I like, at least for my clients, on every house they look at, I have the agent send me what is the purchase price, what is the winter and summer taxes. I want to calculate cash to close within a couple $100 or payment within $10 a month before we jump off the bridge. And if we jump off that bridge, we jump off together.
Yep.
And there's no surprises. We have a soft, safe landing.
Yeah.
And that's how you build clients. And I know that's what you do with your clients too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, are there going to be little variances and things? Yeah, there could be, but I want to have the most informed buyer going out into the marketplace when they are, because I mean, I'll tell you what I'm not. I'm not perfect, right? I don't have all the answers. I don't have years to glean on to do, but what I do have and what I've learned is that communication is key. Surrounding myself with a team that does have years of experience that I can pull from, because I know that I can walk over to Danielle's office, I can walk over to your office, Vic, I can walk into Dustin's or Dave's or anybody's, Jen's office. I can walk in and say, hey, I've got this question, this situation, how would you handle that? Right. And that's the experience that we bring.
Well, and here's the thing, and you and I have had this conversation the last couple of years, but when it comes to the mortgage business, it's always changing, right? We get a memo at least once a month, and during turbulent times, such as when COVID hit, man, we were getting memos every day about guideline changes. And let's go back to 2008 and 2009. My God, we had memos every 2 hours that stuff was changing,
Makes you want to go sell water coolers.
Yeah. So even though some of us have been around for decades, right, that doesn't mean we necessarily have every answer, because things are always changing and evolving. And, that's one of the great things I love about our office is that we have such an open door policy where, everybody, I love seeing
There's
everybody.
no competition amongst us.
No, but, anybody has a question. Vic will come to me. I mean, I got 32 years and he's got over 20, and he'll still come to me with questions, and I'll still go to him with questions, or we go to Jen with questions, or, because sometimes we've seen something on a deal that we've never seen before, and then we come up with a solution on how to document it properly, how to, get it done. And that's what's just exciting.
And that's a testament, if I could just take a moment, that's a testament to what you, Danielle, and you, Vic, have done. Yeah. You've laid that foundation, and you've surrounded yourself with team players that have bought into that philosophy.
Well, and
I can't thank you enough.
Well, and this goes to say, with just the 2.5 years experience you have, you haven't had time to pick up bad habits. You come into a rock star office with top people with top experience. So you don't have those bad habits to pick up on. You're only picking up on successful strategies and building relationships. And that's
100%.
That's what's going to make you successful.
Well, that, I guess at this stage in my career, that's the exciting thing that I can see. Because now if you look at our history of even our branch as it stands, which is, we've been all together for almost 3 years. When I got in the mortgage industry, I was 19 years old, literally no experience. I was going to be a nurse, completely you needed a job.
You still are a nurse. You take care of everybody in the office.
Sometimes you're a triage nurse. You know what I mean?
And sometimes you got to be a brain surgeon too.
Well, I came in the business with no experience, and you go, okay, look at where that went. Vic came in with no experience. I mean, everybody's story on a branch level has some similarities. Most people don't go to school
to be a loan guy.
No, we didn't go to school to be loan officers. It's a little bit of school of hard knocks, but we've taken a lot of people, especially in the last couple of years, where we can identify top talent, the right people. As we've had meetings at the office, I love to use the DISC profile to help determine somebody's personality style and what position they're going to be the best in. What team members do they work the best with? I look at some of the people we've even hired in support capacity in the last couple years that have made fantastic processors, that love what they're doing, and they have that aptitude to, they want to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And, I love the opportunity to be able to develop people's talent and go, okay, where are you going to go with this? Do something exciting with it. And you're, part of that legacy that we're building. And, there's you hate to say it, Vic, we ain't getting any younger, and we've got a lot of,
What is what is the average age of a loan officer? Isn't it in their
Michigan?
50s?
It's like 58 or 59.
I was going to say it's late 50s.
How old are you, Reggie?
38.
38. See, that's when I came. I came in at 39 years old.
Okay.
Or 38 years old. Yeah. So, yeah.
And, it's funny. Vic and I were talking right before about the new technologies, TikTok and all this stuff. And my question is how do we take this new technology and how do we not monetize it, but how do we get eyeballs directed back towards the mortgage space? And that is where,
that's where you know what? Here's you need to have that conversation with is Laura.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was talking to Reggie, telling him I had my coaching call the other day, and they had on this Facebook guru. He's a social media guru, and they brought up all the statistics and that mortgages and real estate are the least followed items on Facebook. It's actually food is number one.
Ah, okay, there, Reggie.
On Facebook. So Reggie
needs to cook.
Well, Reggie and I were talking about, and so they had a realtor that actually said, okay, if that's the game, that's how I'm going to play. He would go down to the local restaurants and interview the owner or the cook or the waitress while sampling one of their meals, talking about the food and talking about real estate.
Interesting.
And I thought, man, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to relate to your clients. You've got to give people what they want, and shame on the industry for not recognizing that and saying, okay, what is grabbing eyeballs? What is getting attention? And how do we, still bring the message of loan officer, this is what we do.
Right.
But my question is,
relating it
with
to the
all the
clients.
social media and everybody, online searching for everything in the world, how are we still having these buyers that are just clueless on understanding mortgage programs, cash to close, numbers? How do we reach those people? They need the education. How do we get to them? I don't know. What is your thoughts? How are you going to reach that clientele?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to the old adage of, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. And I think if you've got the overarching goal of how do we reach millions of people, it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be too much. And so you've just got to break it down into almost like a daily type habit. What do I need to do today to reach another person, to reach another audience, to reach more people? Whether that's through social, through online stuff, through picking up the phone and calling a realtor, a referral partner, whatever it is, to establish your name, establish your brand out there. But it's also, and I know Vic, you've done it, and Danielle, you've done it too, is getting outside of the small pocket of Southeast Michigan,
right.
Getting out to the bigger state stuff, getting out to the regional, the in the US or wherever it may be. So then you can start connecting with other people to say, what do we need to do to grow our brand?
Ultimately, with all the social media, all the digital marketing, all this great stuff we have, it's absolutely a tool, and it's very important. You've done a great job with video, which, is hard for some of us to get into, right? I just don't stop and go, okay, let's shoot a video today. That's why we're here, because we get a lot more done in the studio than we do once we're in the office. Like, we're working on deals, but it's relationship building, one deal at a time, one handshake at a time. Because like you said, Vic, with all the social media, with everything that's available online, our millennial generation has paralysis of analysis.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they stop, they look a little bit online and go, oh my God, I can't understand this. And it's great to say, oh, for instance, let's talk, you could say, oh, we can educate students online. To a degree, yes. But if you put a 12-year-old child completely online with no teacher and just said, do these modules. You know how we do our Con Ed? And actually, we've done Con Ed recorded, and we've done Con Ed with a live teacher. Which one's easier for an 8-hour class? Having that live teacher, Uncle Aaron, giving us our Con Ed every year, even if it's on a Zoom format, is easier than if we have to just listen to someone speak for that 8-hour worth of class that we have to take. I would prefer to do it live because I can stay engaged better. So you look at it and go, could you take a 12-year-old in middle school, what about 6th grade, and completely put them into an online education setting with no teacher interaction? Most students would not thrive in that environment at all. So you look at that and take young adults, potentially first-time homebuyers, and go, can you just throw the internet at them? No. They're going to read a little bit, and then they read a little bit more, and then they get confused because they can't connect the dots, and they can't put everything all together. And, you know, the exciting thing, because I remember, I don't know if you remember this, Vic, a few years ago when people start talking about the millennial generation, and go, oh, they're different, right? Well, of course, every generation's different. Let's say that. But people were like, no, they're going to want to do everything online. You're not going to need loan officers. And I find it the exact opposite to be true.
Yeah.
Because
we're not going away.
You take that first-time home buyer, which is probably between 24 and 35 years old, right? And sit down with them or do a Zoom call with them and say, look, here's what you need to know. Here's what the lender looks at. Here's what we got to review. Here's your information. Then you ask questions. You mean it's life-changing. And then you can condense everything on the internet down to bite-sized pieces that they can understand and then make decisions on their own life, you know.
Because
it's kind of like being a doctor with WebMD, right? I mean, WebMD is kind of cool, but man, if that's the only thing that you think you're having a heart attack, are you going to go to WebMD first?
Yeah.
You know, I hope
or
not.
if you pull up brain surgery, right, you're going to get 2 billion articles on brain surgery.
Yeah.
And everybody's brain or everybody's situation is unique, and they need us to break it down on what's important, you know, and what's not important from the information they're getting. It's like watching a video on tying your shoes. You can't learn how to tie your shoes until you actually touch them and lace them yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and people, they have questions and they want to know, but the problem is they don't want to sound stupid.
No.
They want to ask these questions, and that's where we come in as a trusted resource, somebody that can relate to them and say, hey, what questions do you have? Where are you at? Have you bought and sold in the past? Are you a first-time home buyer? Okay, let's go through the step by step, and I'm going to be by your side from that time of application to that closing table.
But it's getting to them to get by your side at first, because a lot of times our buyers are going to go to the closest to them is they're going to go to their parents or their family, and they're not loan officers. They're not licensed. You know, they don't understand it. They're going to get, I don't want to say bad advice, but they're not going to get maybe the full story here.
Yeah.
Well, my older 2 kids are 26 and 29, and both of them are homeowners. In fact, they both are on their second homes this year. And so now they've bought, sold, and rebought. And they have friends that are looking at them going, how did you do that? And they literally laugh and go, well, my mom's a loan officer. First of all, they have been by my side their entire life, right? Seeing their mom helping people get houses. And of course, they trust me. And, you know, so the good thing there is like, hey, call my mom, you know, she can help you. She'll tell you what you want to know.
And
you know,
that's,
even if they don't use me for the loan, it's like, just educate this generation. It's not scary if you learn. And there's nothing that even chunks that first-time home buyer. I've had first-time home buyers in their 40s and 50s even that still have the same questions. So it's not just a demographic situation.
Yeah. I mean, the whole process of buying a house can be extremely intimidating if you don't know.
Yeah.
So that's why slowing down, and again, just slowing down the upfront and laying everything out and explaining stuff.
Right.
Like,
I mean, how do you prepare for a marathon? Right?
Practice.
You tie your shoes.
you got to tie your shoes.
You tie your shoes right, and then you practice and practice and practice before you're ready to go out there and run, 13.4
and
miles.
exactly, just having that game plan of, hey, step 1, We need to do this, this, and this. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we got step 2, this, and this. Okay. Now we're pre-qualified. We're pre-approved. Let's get you out in the marketplace. Let's start looking at numbers, looking at houses, and what's a real possibility here.
It's funny because my daughter Sakura and my son Kazi, Kazi's graduate with a business business finance degree. Sakura is now in real estate, and they've been brought up this for 20 years. I've been in this talking numbers, talking real estate and all that, but now they're starting to think about home buying and all that. And they asked me questions that I thought, my God, you don't even know that with all the research you're doing online and all this stuff, you still are very clueless to your own unique situation of your income. Will you qualify? Will you not qualify? They just think, oh, I want to go buy a house. Well, so-and-so did it. Yeah, well, you got to lay down the groundwork, and it's getting that understanding.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
You can figure it out. Just because you start asking questions doesn't mean you need to buy tomorrow.
Well,
it could be 6 months. It could be a year. But let's figure out where you want to go and what your goals are, and then you'll know when it's ready to make.
But how many
investment.
times have we gotten calls from real estate agents, right, and saying, "Hey, I got a buyer, got to get pre-approved. We got to put an offer in by 3:00 today."
Yeah.
Then you talk to the buyer. They have no clue of what they're doing, if they qualify, but they were online yesterday and today they want to buy a house, and not having any idea. They're putting the cart way before the horse there,
And I know a couple podcasts ago, you guys had Dustin and Heather on.
Yeah.
And that is the power. And I know you talked about it then, and we don't have to go into it now, but that is the power of having a strong realtor with a lender relationship. And in today's market, you have got to have that.
Yeah, for lack of better words, we all got to be in bed together. We got to work that system and make sure that the realtor understands the strategy that we're going to use, so they can negotiate for that client.
King size bed.
Yeah, it's a very king size bed because of all the players and the people we've got involved. With home and
in bed. All right.
Yeah, well, we got home and.
You know what flashed in my head? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Remember all the grandparents that were in the same bed?
No, I don't remember. And I watched that. It was one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, they all lived in this goofy little one-room house, and all the grandparents were like, "It's my life right now."
Okay, let's move it on here. Okay, so what goals do you have for your business over the next couple years?
So my goals over the next couple years, entail a couple of different things. Number one, and I know Danielle and I have talked about this, and I don't have any problem with it, is I want to grow my team. I want to go from where I'm at right now, new in the industry, doing some loans here and there, to full-fledged. I have, my own brand, my own, flying on my own, so to say, and have my own team. I've got, my own quote unquote people. They're not my people. I get that, right. But our team that can grow, and then eventually move into a role where I'm even coaching, managing, helping other people, with growing their business and the, as loan officers.
Well, one of the keys in how Danielle and I had grown our business is our past clients. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about past clients. How do you keep in touch with your past clients once you close a loan?
Yeah, well, I mean, outside of the regular, we have an automated system that sends out the regular stuff. Just following up with them on their home anniversary, sending them a note, or perhaps a little present or something, like through a send out cards or something like that. I know, some people in our industry use that, and it's worked out well. Just keeping in touch, keeping them, keeping me top of mind in case they're looking to make any moves in the future.
Okay. What's your long-term plan for yourself and your business?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to be in a position where I'm not only producing my own, but also, almost like what Danielle's doing, where she's managing a branch and helping other loan officers, bringing other people into the industry to help coach them up to get them from where they are to where they want to be. So, I mean, ultimately that is where I want to be.
And what are your biggest challenges in this industry trying to grow your business?
The biggest challenge of people in our industry or basically any sales industry is anonymity. Onomatopoeia, what? People not knowing, people not knowing who you are and what you do. I mean, that is the biggest hurdle you've got to get over.
Yep.
So doing things like this, putting things out on social, going to different events, letting people know who you are, what you do, what you stand for. And I mean, obviously we can talk all day long, but the rubber meets the road when we actually do that with our clients, and that will drive success more than anything else.
Okay. Excellent. Well, hey, we talked a lot about business. I'd actually like to ask you a couple questions personally.
Here we go.
Where were you born?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was born in Iowa.
Iowa. Don't they grow potatoes out in Iowa?
Corn, not potatoes.
Oh, that's corn in Iowa?
Yeah, not Idaho.
Oh,
Iowa, flyover state.
Vic hasn't traveled much out of Detroit, I don't think.
It's okay. Flyover country. But no, it's a real small town in southwest Iowa.
uh-huh.
I loved it. In fact, the town I grew up outside of, 130 people.
In the whole town?
In the whole town. We didn't have curbs. Like, there were no curbs in town. It was unbelievable. People laugh at that. I'm like, is that a big deal? I have no idea.
Did they have a post office?
Yeah, we had post office.
I think in order to be an official town, don't you have to have a post office?
We had a post office. We had a cafe. We had
pizza joint.
No, we had a gas station though.
Oh, okay.
Right on the state line. It's called State Line Gas Station.
So how long have you been here in Michigan, Detroit area?
So I went to school there. Went to college, high school. Went to college in Iowa, Central College. Go Dutch! Woo. So lived there for a while, and then moved to South Carolina for about 2.5 years, just because that's what we could do, and that's where we wanted to live. Loved it down there, and then we actually became pregnant with our oldest, and I was like, okay, we gotta move closer to family, so moved up here to Michigan. So.
And how many kids do you have?
4.
How old are they?
12. 10, and 7.
You got your hands full.
I should probably learn their names at some point, but that's a Jim Gaffigan joke.
So were they all born here then?
You got twins. That although they look very different now, they're changing
they
so
do.
much.
Yeah,
they don't look as identical as they were when they were little guys.
Yeah, girl Ava, she'll be 13 here in a couple weeks.
Were they all born here in Michigan?
Yeah, they're all born here in Michigan. Was married down in South Carolina. Then we had 4 kids. Yeah. And like Danielle alluded to, we have twin boys, Alex and Gabe. And then Victoria, she just turned 7 a couple months ago.
So what do you do when you're not working? What are your hobbies? What are your other interests outside of work?
Well, I mean, obviously family takes up a lot of time. It's pretty busy, and now they're starting to get into the sports scene a lot. So, it seems like right now we're sitting in gyms a lot, and or on a field, or we've got music lessons, we've got things going on.
Yeah, you hope you just make friends with all the other parents that you're hanging out with on a daily basis.
Right.
That's about it for a decade.
So you can sit there and complain about the sport with them all day long.
You're at
practice.
I love to golf.
Really?
So I was in the golf league this past year. That was a lot of fun. Just being able to be out in the public, obviously going to a lot of different events too, through the chamber and the realtor associations and whatnot. So,
what makes you happy?
Well, there's a lot.
We're getting deep here.
Yes,
Vic.
we are getting
I'm just
deep.
asking some
Deep thoughts with Victor.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? I'm a simple guy. I really am. And I think more than anything, what makes me happy is to help people. I mean, I know that sounds super cliche, and I'm not looking for a soundbite here, but it truly does. Like, I get satisfaction out of helping people through this process, and to help guide them through that and get them to where they want to go. Obviously with my kids and stuff, just seeing them figure something out, or on the field and do a good job, or on the court or whatever, or, be super proud of this drawing or what they're doing at school or whatever it is. There's so much joy in that.
Now, we've got a pretty cool job because I really enjoy, I think we all, if we're sitting here, we enjoy what we do because it's very satisfying, to help those clients out. And yeah, I go home, I go, man, that's cool. We changed somebody's life today.
It is. And you know what? I have, when you've been doing this long enough, the really cool thing is the next generation.
Oh, yeah.
So I have clients that I have helped in the last 10, 15 years that are now sending me their adult children.
Yeah.
In fact, I had, about a month ago, I had a past client reach out to me, and she goes, my daughter's thinking about buying a house next year. So I got to meet my client again, haven't seen her in a few years.
Yeah.
She comes in with her daughter just for the initial conversation, and you go, this is crazy.
Well, it's funny because I've had several of those too. And when you look back, I remember when I gave the parents the home, they brought in the baby in a stroller.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And now we're doing the mortgage.
Yeah. Well, we have friends in the Pinckney area, and the funny story is we had au pairs when our first two girls were really young, and the au pair was like an exchange student from Europe that came and provided childcare and then went to school here in America. And we met other au pairs through our au pair. So one day our au pair said, could I have one of my friends come over? She's babysitting for twins. Do you mind if she brings the girls over? I'm like, no, of course not. They're in Pinckney. Who's got twins in Pinckney? So this au pair shows up from France with 2 car seats, 2 infant little girls. Flash forward 10 years, and I had no idea because I didn't know who the twins' parents were, but they went to our church. The kids went to school together. Their girls were, I think, a year younger than my daughter Allison. And it turned out that the mother and I became friends years later, had some conversation over a euchre game about, oh yeah, well, we had au pairs. You had au pairs. We had au pairs. And she said, oh yeah, our au pair's name is this, or we're still good friends with her. We went to Paris when she got married, and she had the girls. And I went, oh my gosh, I met Rebecca and Rachel in infant car seats 20 some years
And
ago.
here they are.
And now Rebecca and Rachel both recently got married. I've done the mortgages for them, and you go, oh my God, I met them when they were infants in the car seats,
Very interesting. Very interesting. Where do you see, with the knowledge you have and the research you're doing, where do you see the mortgage industry or the real estate market going to be in the next few years? What's your vision?
Well, I mean, the bad news, I thought this question might be coming, and so I tried to order it over Prime. It's not supposed to be delivered tomorrow, the crystal ball.
Oh,
so
I had the Magic 8 Ball.
For that.
Okay.
So if you got a spare
Well, actually,
one,
we
I'll
got a
take
crystal
it.
ball right here. We want you to look into that crystal ball.
I've got a Magic 8 Ball at the office. Use anytime.
Well,
We
no,
can
remember,
order that.
you and I used that one day.
And it voided out.
and
you couldn't get it to work.
I couldn't get it to
didn't
work.
Like you.
It didn't. What were we 8-balling?
I don't even remember.
We were asking some question,
Yeah.
and it kept saying no and denying me. And
Yeah.
I finally
or
threw
it didn't even know. You kept landing in the middle. Remember?
yeah,
it
that's
didn't
right.
even give him an answer. So my Magic 8 Ball does not like Vic.
But if you were to look into that crystal ball right there, what do you think the market's going to do over the next couple of years?
Well, I mean, I can see the market. As far as home appreciation, I think home prices or appreciation is still going to appreciate over this next year. Obviously, interest rates are starting to creep up a little bit to combat inflation, and that's necessary. This is a normal cycle, and this is what people need to really realize of the ups and downs of the market. If you look at the totality of it, we're in a normal cycle. So I see home prices increasing still. Interest rates are going to go up. I think it's still a great time to buy. If you look at historic, interest rates as far as, what our parents were looking to buy at, I mean, those were double digits. And I know when you guys started and you've mentioned where things were at then, we're still at all-time lows.
50-year lows. Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. So it's an incredible time to still be in the market. It's a great time to build wealth, to build assets, and to make that move.
So what is your advice to these home buyers that in 2020, they tried to put in offers, but they got beat out and they just threw in the towel and said, I'm going to wait for the market to come down. What's your advice to these buyers or these people that threw in the towel?
Yeah. And I guess my advice to that would be look at the meme online where it says, where it's got a picture of Tom Brady in 2001. And it's got a picture of every year of him. And then 2021, it's like, I'm going to wait till the market goes down because Tom Brady's still doing his deal at 42 or whatever he is. Yeah. And guess what? The market is going to continue whether you get in or not.
Right.
So my advice is, hey, I know what it's like to put an offer in on a house and not get it and to get frustrated and to get mad and say, you know what? We're going to rent forever. Home ownership isn't for us. I get it. But hey, let's regroup. Let's look at this again. Talk to me, give me a call, and let's put a game plan together.
Well, Tom Brady has a coach, I bet, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think you're onto something here.
Right?
Oh, there you go, Dan. Yeah.
So Tom Brady
still
is
has
an
a coach.
amazing quarterback, right? But he has always had a coach. And do you think his coach saw his potential and helps him perform at his best?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So your role as a loan officer, and to anybody out there that's frustrated in the market, if you didn't get a house last year, maybe you need a new coach.
That's really a great way to put it.
Hashtag get a new coach. Write that one down, Monica.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you know, and here's the thing is like, I'm not perfect. I've got a past. Like I know what it's like to go through heartache, to go through a divorce, be married for a long time, having a marital home, and then having to move out of that marital home, and then trying to, rent for a while, and then move into, am I going to buy a house? Am I not going to buy a house? I'm changing industries. How's this going to work? Can I do it on myself? Can I self-generate my own stuff? Can I do there's all these doubts and all these fears and all this BS in your head, right? Yeah. I know what that's like because I've been through that.
Yeah.
So it's laying that out. And obviously I don't go into all the details with every client. That's not necessary. But I've got that background to say.
That's a lot of life.
That's a ton of life. That's why I don't have any hair, Danielle.
Well, you got a couple left there. There's still a couple left.
You got more than I do, Vic.
No way. Really? No. But no, that whole lot of life, I mean, that's what I utilize is those life experiences. And that's a big chunk of life. Going through a divorce, having a house, getting out of a house, trying to get another one, changing careers, the income. How do I qualify? Your situation is just as or unique or different than the next
Everybody
guy.
else.
And all those characteristics have to be taken into consideration. Else you will hit a foul ball.
Right.
And you need a coach.
100%.
Right.
Because the last thing I want to do is come on here and look at me with the suit on, and I'm the cool guy.
Well, you look pretty good with the
Thank
suit.
you.
You
I
look good.
appreciate
You
that.
look good.
You
Guys
don't
have
look
such
bad
an
at
easy
all.
time dressing.
And think I've got all my stuff together. I don't.
No,
I'm a real
nobody
person.
does. Yeah.
But that's a lot of times I feel like people try to do on the social media side.
Yeah.
And then they lose that connection.
Yeah.
They lose that connection. The trust isn't there. What are we into it? And I love saying this to people too is, hey, we're not paid on rate. Right. We don't get paid on rate because if I was buying a house and I wasn't in the mortgage industry, like I would wonder, is 3.25% really the best he can do? I bet he's making a little.
Well, that's the way the industry used to be
used to
15,
be.
20 years ago. Yeah.
But they did away with that.
Yeah.
So I just like to be upfront and honest with people. And I know Vic and you and Danielle both, you have no problem saying, hey, here's the rate sheet. You can do it, in person or wherever. What are your goals? What do you want to do? I mean, does it make more sense to, put 5% down, or does it make sense to put 20% down and present option A, B, C, and D, not to confuse people?
F and G too, in many cases.
Yeah.
So, I was going to say something, but it's probably not appropriate to say. But so the different options, not to confuse people, but to just have those there and say, what do you want to do? So when they are at Christmas and their mom or dad or uncle saying, you got to put 20% down and you got to do this, they can say, hey, Uncle Bob, I appreciate the advice, but guess what? We're putting 5% down because we're going to take that other 30 grand and we're going to put it towards this vehicle,
Right.
because we've got a long-term goal, and this is what
Uncle
that goal
Bob
is.
doesn't know what rental prices are doing in the market.
Absolutely.
You know, and you go, well, again, it's personal. I don't discuss my personal financial stuff with any family member, and I never have. It's nobody's business. And it's interesting because my daughter and son-in-law are buying a house right now and selling a house, and they've already gotten in-law comments going, well, don't you think this or don't you think that? And you go, none of your business. You know, this is financial. I'm sorry. It's kind of like your health. I'm not going to go tell the rest of the family and friends necessarily every health thing that's going on with me, but I'm certainly not going to discuss the financial stuff either. Why would you take advice? You know, I had a client recently who has a family member that is a financial advisor giving them really bad advice. Yeah. And this financial advisor family member lives out of state. I'm like, they don't know anything about your finances. Yeah. So why are they giving you advice on refinancing your home? Mm-hmm. You know, I then had to have that almost hour-long conversation with the client and go, okay, I understand what your family member's recommending. Here's why I wouldn't do that. I think it was they told him to get a 15-year mortgage. I'm like, you got young kids at home. Why would you get a 15-year mortgage? You still got student loan debt you're paying off. This family member doesn't know any of that. I said, you put yourself in a 15-year mortgage right now, you are going to potentially harm your family financially.
And if you end up being out of a job because, you know, and that mortgage payment is too stiff, you won't even qualify.
Yeah. No, this client wouldn't have qualified for a 15-year because he's self-employed.
Yeah.
You go, oh my gosh. So we came up with a fantastic strategy that then he was comfortable with. So yeah, that whole fammy equation thing is very dangerous.
Well, as we talk about family,
no disrespect to family,
but we got to kind of keep that information. You know, here's the issue I'll have is I'll have a client where dad and mom want to gift their kids money. We want our kids to we're going to gift them 20% down so they can avoid PMI because PMI is the devil, right? And then they'll call me up wanting to know information about the new son-in-law and what their credit scores are and all that. And we're gifting them. We wanted to put 20% down so they avoid PMI. But talking to the clients, it's not the best strategy. No. Let's put 5% down. Let's buy out of that PMI and let's take the remaining 15% or whatever and let's pay off your debt, not bring all that garbage with you. Don't bring the extra baggage.
Let's look at the cash flow.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I got calls from the parents giving me slack saying, we want it towards our mortgage. And I said, and I talked about quality of life. And we finally talked the parents off the edge and I explained it. And he goes, well, it does make sense. But we have to field those calls and even educate these parents. You know, in many cases. Mm-hmm. You know? So in closing here, first of all, how does somebody get a hold of you? And let us know.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, phone is call, text, whatever it is. Do I just give them?
Yeah,
just 810-772 6966, looking right at you right now. Call me, text me, hit me up.
I thought I was going to hear a song coming out of that. The way you were,
I could go song.
And do you have a website?
I do. If you go to reggieosborn.com, ReggieOsborn.com,
and
you can see me on the web.
And where are you located at?
So I live in Howell. But our office is here in Brighton, and I'm licensed here in the great state of Michigan and in Iowa as well. So
you did get your license in Iowa.
We're licensed in Iowa. We'll be in Florida as well. So
nice.
So if
anybody palm trees in our future.
Yeah, maybe. Any closing words, Danielle, or any closing questions?
Well, if you're, I hope you have a great holiday with the kids, and looking forward to the next year. I think it's going to be a great year.
Yeah. It's
going to be exciting to see. We always have a little lull this time of year. Things quiet down. Nobody's listing their house. Buyers are just sitting on the sideline ready to go. It's going to be real interesting to see once we get past January 3rd how the market kicks up. How quickly it kicks up this year.
The spring buying season starts January 3rd.
I do feel that could be the case this year. And I have had several years ago, I had a January that was killer. It was one of my best years all year was a January. Yeah. So you really just don't know. There's buyers waiting. So smart sellers that are ready to go. And, I don't know about you, but I'm getting a lot of calls from older people that are looking to downsize. And honestly, it's a hard transition to make. Many of them have their homes free and clear, but they need to get a condo kind of a thing. So
They're downsizing to a higher price.
yes, yes,
Is what's
yeah.
happening.
Doesn't mean they're spending less money, but
Yeah.
but they got a house to sell. Get ready. I talked to this one lady this week. I mean, she's had horses, and she's literally rehoming all of her livestock, and she'll be on the market soon. But I think it's going to be an interesting year for everybody, and hopefully some good luck for the buyers out there that didn't get lucky this year. But again, they need a new coach, potentially a new strategy to be ready for current market conditions.
Any closing words, Reg?
No, I'll end it the same way I started it, and I am so grateful for the foundation that you guys have laid for all of us here at Highlands. And I mean, I know, Danielle, you've been a pillar in Livingston County for a number of years, and I can't say enough about that. And I know, Vic, you as well. And when those, you guys join together and then bring in, Jen and Dustin and Dave and everybody associated with that, it's just really grown out, and I'm so appreciative
Pretty
of that.
dynamic.
Yeah, we have a
100%,
dynamic
yeah.
group.
Well, that's our show today. That was Danielle Boote, Mr. Reggie Osborne, the up-and-coming star. My name is Victor Bals, and we'll see you next time here on A Smarter Way Home. And just remember, everybody, we got to all come together and try to get along. Thank you.
Try